Good morning, boys and girls. Today's story by Steve Herman is called A Dragon with His Mouth on Fire. This skill is something we want to practice before next year, but while we're doing digital learning at home, might not be a skill that we need to use as much with our teachers and our parents, but it's something that we can certainly practice to become a better student and a better friend within the classroom. This is volume 10 in the My Dragon Book series. Hello, my name is Drew. I have a dragon for a pet. His name is Diggory, and he's a first-rate pet. You bet. When a dragon lives inside your house, in case you couldn't tell, it's important that you train him very well. The most important thing that a dragon has to learn is not to lose his temper and then look for stuff to burn. But fire is not the only thing that shoots right out his snout. Diggory likes to talk a lot, and words will spill right out. When Diggory thinks of something that he'd really like to say, even though it's not his turn, he says it anyway. Diggory I told him, I have seen you once or twice, with mouth on fire to interrupt, and that's not very nice. Diggory's teacher tried and tried to make him understand. When you have something you must say, then kindly raise your hand. But when he needs to hold back thoughts that pop into his head, because his mouth's on fire to talk, he blurts them out instead. When Diggory's friend told us about the great big fish he caught, Diggory interrupted. He does that quite a lot. I'll bet my fish was bigger, was Diggory-Doo's reply. His friend got his feelings hurt. It almost made him cry. There's a new girl in our class, and when Diggory-Doo first met her, she tried to introduce herself, but Diggory wouldn't let her. He talked so much about himself, she couldn't say a word. Diggory's conversation skills were really quite absurd. It wasn't very long until he got the chance to learn how it felt when someone else refused to wait his turn. It happened on his birthday, and when we carried out the cake, and Diggory-Doo was thinking of the wish that he would make. When it was my birthday, said one of Diggory's guests, I wished I'd get a Lego set, 'cause Legos are the best. The sudden interruption caused Diggory to forget what he planned to wish for, and that made him upset. Diggory-Doo, I told him, that's exactly what you get. For the times that you've been rude, have you learned your lesson yet? Diggory realized the problem, and he hung his head in shame. Don't blame others for bad manners when you know you've done the same. Diggory-Doo, I told him, it's time that you were taught of when you ought to speak and to know when you ought not. Your mouth's on fire to interrupt too much. I think you should admit it. I have a few suggestions that I think will help you quit it. Listen up when others talk. There's so much you can learn. When you allow someone to speak before you take your turn. When the other person speaks, you should look him in the eye. This may take some practice, but you really ought to try. And when you get your turn to speak, say what you must and then allow the other person a chance to speak again. Back and forth, back and forth. Each one gets a turn. Conversation is a skill that everyone should learn. When your mouth burns to interrupt, just resist temptation, for interrupting's rude and will ruin the conversation. Hold that thought and take a deep breath. Just do what you must do, and think of how you'd feel if they interrupted you. Diggory said, I understand. I think I finally see. Don't do anything to others that I don't want done to me. Now when others speak, Diggory waits until they're through. If Diggory do can do it, then you can do it too. The end. I hope you enjoyed today's story of Diggory's mouth on fire and how he overcome his blurting out. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I hope to see you soon.